What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I know it's Thanksgiving Eve. Happy Division One college basketball season beginning, and I know my man Ani's in
Yes,
Houston.
sir.
Yeah, I know he's in Houston covering the about to cover the Jim Hicks RCS Sports Thanksgiving Hoops Fest, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
Hoop giving. Hoop giving.
Hoops Giving. There we go. Hoops Giving Classic. Excuse me. There's so much going on, man. How could I forget it? He was just on last week, but we're in episode 2 here with Inside High School Hoops with All Access Sports Media on All Access Network. Excited to have you guys back. Ani, good morning, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, man. I'm excited to be back. Episode 2. Gonna make it a great one. I'm excited about
Yes, sir.
about what I got to see this past week, and what's coming up. So let's get to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Gonna be great. So, we like to cover the state of Texas. That's home for me, even though I don't live there now. A lot of great basketball played there, along with a lot of great basketball tradition and athletes. So we're just gonna get straight to it. Ani, what did you see this last week? What did you see that you liked ending the week last week?
So I got to watch several high school games. Had to coach a couple too. So I had to put on different hats.
So you're versatile. You got to wear different hats. I like that.
Yeah, I got to wear different hats. The coaching hat, the evaluator hat. Sometimes I wore both.
I like it.
Got to see Frisco Memorial and McKinney play. Got to see high school in Lancaster. I was at Stacy Houston's RJ Hampton showcase. There was a lot of high-level teams, high-level talent. So really, really good stuff. Got to see some individual matchups, see some games. Heard about a lot. There's some really big time performances I want to cover, but it was just a really good crop of games. I'm excited about being in Houston today. Just watching, I haven't been to Houston about 2 months, so just getting another look at some of these guys like Josh Farmer, and I know ODY is coming down to play Legacy. That's going to be a big game. Pittsburgh Christian got a few guys that just committed to Air Force, Chris Felix, and there's several other guys. So I'm really, I'm looking forward to just covering the talent today. But yeah, absolutely. I got to see a lot of individual games. RJ Hampton showcase. So yeah, that was what my week consisted of.
Yeah, we got a great lineup for you today. We have Alan Branch coming on in about 10 minutes to talk about some of Houston and some of Dallas. Texas boys basketball is Alan Branch, along with Stacy Houston is coming on at 10:45 Central to talk about the RJ Hampton showcase. And then at the next hour at 11:30 Central, we have Antonio from Alamo City Hoops. He's going to talk about kind of the tri-region area. So let's just talk to Ani real quick. Let's see what Ani saw this weekend and before we get to our guests.
So I want to talk about the Frisco Memorial and McKinney matchup. You talk about you have a handful of high major Division I prospects. Isaiah Foster from Frisco Memorial 2022, who's coming back from I think it was a torn ACL this past year. Yeah, Drew Steffi, 2023 guard Frisco Memorial. You got Joshua Thrower, Shannon Lowry. He's on the team. And I feel like I may be forgetting one more. And then you got McKinney. You have Jacoby Walters, 2023. He's cementing himself as one of the best players in that class and one of the better players in the country in that class. You got Alexander Megway, who recently received an offer at UNT. And then you have a kid, Jacoby Campbell, that I know, the guard that received some Division I interest 2023. So that game was a very interesting. Frisco Memorial had control for the most part. Loved how Isaiah Foster really dictated the pace, hit shots. Just a kid coming back from injury and seeing how aggressive he was offensively. I was trying to see how aggressive he was going to be, if he was going to favor that leg a little bit, but didn't see any of that at all. Had a really good showing. Drew Steffi was very, very, very solid in the beginning. Really make passes with his size, can shoot with range. Joshua Thrower did a real solid job. Just utilize his length inside. Still has some ways to go, but I really like what he's progressing towards. Shannon Lowry just a beast in the paint, just real physical guy, gets after on the glass, makes winning basketball plays. McKinney started out slow. Alex got in foul trouble early, but I love how Alex plays. About 6'5". He probably has every bit of a 3 to 4 plus wingspan. Just was creating havoc defensively, stealing passes when they got to press, rebounding, utilize his athleticism, is making plays, and his skill set. Even though he's more athlete right now, his skill set is coming along, and you can really see where at the next level, where as a versatile defender and in a slasher, at the wing, where he can be. But the player of the game, with Jacoby Walters, had 33 points. He took over that at the second half and relinquished Frisco Moore's lead and actually hit the game-winning shot.
Nice.
For a kid that's a sophomore, especially sophomore guards, just to see the maturity. Hey, my team's down. We're not really getting much of a flow, and just taking over on the offensive end, hitting shots and getting to the basket. That stuff you don't really see a lot. And I was really impressed. I mean, he can hit shots from the perimeter, but one thing I did like is when he knew that his team needed a bucket, he got into the paint. He got into the paint and he scored. Jacoby was fantastic. I mean, it was the best game I've seen him play probably as a 2023, just in person. I couldn't say I've seen one just have an individual performance like that in the city or really in the state so far. So I would say, hats off to him. That was big time.
So speaking of that performance, Ani, how does he stack up to the other players in his class in the state? And then who are some of the other prospects in that game that are worth mentioning?
So when you look at that class 2023, I have KJ Lewis, number 1 in that class. From Chapin out in El Paso, about 6'4", guard, just explosive athlete, strong physical, skill, can hit shots, can get his own bucket anyway. Maybe more of a streaky shooter at this stage, but KJ got a chance to be really, really good. It's all up to him. And you got Ronald Holland from Duncanville, about 6'8". Ronald just continues to grow. He's long, he's athletic, he plays with a big-time motor, rebounds, offensive game. Now he's someone that you can get it in 10 to 12 feet out, kind of face up and score a little bit off drives. You got him, Ronald Holland, Justin McBride, although he's at Oak Hill, still count him as a Texas kid. It's still based out here. He's played at South Garland prior to going to Oak Hill. But when you look at Jacoby, I mean, he makes a case. If you were to tell me, especially after that game, and I try not, especially after really good games, I try not to be a prisoner of the moment, right? I always want to go back and look at things in perspective. But even after I did that, if you were to say, hey, Jacoby Walters is the best player in that class, you can make a legit argument. So I say in that 23 class, and there's more players in that class. Like, I really like the Mashai Hill kid from Hendrickson. You got Kendrick DeLuna that's out there. RJ Jones has really stepped up from Denton Braswell and has really been making plays. Had a really good Pangos camp. I mean, every time I've seen him, he's performing, had a good Wooten camp. So, and you got Tyler Smith out of Houston, who's really, really talented. Every bit of 6'9", lefty with a pure stroke. He makes plays that just translate to whatever level you want it to. So in Houston, that 23 class, you got Chris Johnson as well, who I really like. But if you were to make a case, all those guys, I mean, you were to make a case with Jacoby Walters, where he stacks up there, I mean, he's definitely top 3 to 5.
Awesome covers there, Ani. What other things did you see? We got about 5 minutes until Alan Branch from Texas Boys Basketball comes on and joins us. You know him fairly well. What else did you see?
Yeah, I know him okay.
What else did you think? Did you notice from afar and up close from the last week's games?
So, that's the beauty of Twitter. You get updated when you're not there. CJ Nolan had a really, really good week. If we had to do a player of the week, CJ Nolan would be my player of the week, just from a statistical standpoint. Against high school, although I might have lost. I know Waxahachie doesn't have Jalen Lake right now, but he had 42 points. I think he had like 6 assists. I gotta go back to that stats, but he had like huge numbers. I actually have it right now. He had 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Incredible numbers.
And then you followed that against John Paul II, where they had a convincing win. He had 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists.
And he's an Oklahoma signee, correct?
Oklahoma signing. So you talking about? I mean, you talking about he averaged in 36 points in 2 games. You know.
Who else on
those are big time numbers.
DJ Nolan is
if I had to say that,
one of the best in the city.
Huh?
No, I just said he's one of the best in the city, and he's playing like it. You know, you always want to see seniors step up. You always want to see seniors step up and really have that chip on their shoulder still, even as they've signed early, that they still have something they want to prove, and he's definitely a competitor like that.
Right. And, you know, CJ, just especially in the high school level, his body with his quickness and, you know, his vertical athleticism really improved. I mean, he's just such a handful as far as opposing guards. You're just not going to match his size, his speed, and just his finishing abilities. And when he's really hitting shots from the perimeter, I mean, it's just so hard to guard him.
So he was a top performer this week. Who else was top performers, you'd say, before we have Alan Branch come?
Manny Obaseki, I kind of felt the wrath of that one. It beat me on a buzzer beater. Manny Obaseki was really, really good for John Paul II.
And they played against each other, you said, right? He's an A&M signee?
Yeah, A&M signing. I apologize not mention that, but A&M signing, lefty, athletic. I mean, he put on shot. I think he had 28 points, probably had like 5 steals and 6 rebounds. His shots really coming along. Yeah, definitely Manny. You know who I heard in Houston has been actually playing pretty good is Austin Benini. Had a big game against Premier Academy. He's really, you know, Austin is just one of those kids, you know, big games, he loves to perform. I mean, he's going to perform anytime I see him, but
he's a big-time competitor. I actually got a chance to coach him at Lucas Camp. Has a chip on his shoulder, really just carries a brick on his shoulder, to be honest. Always kind of walks in the gym, wants to make sure you know not only does he belong, but he's coming for your neck. You know what I mean? I like that about that kid. He's definitely not afraid to take the fight to you, so I'm not surprised one bit.
Right, and you know, one thing I like about Austin, I think where he's really improved is he's learning when to pick and choose, when to really get into the teeth of the defense, when to kind of pull it out, burn some clock. I mean, he's kind of turning into like just a floor leader and a coach on the floor. So I really, you know, Austin's been a really good performer this past week. Been hearing a lot of good things about how he's just been playing overall this season.
And then anything else as far as things that you've seen or things from afar that you like, that you noticed, that you took notice of in the state of Texas overall?
Wait, say that again?
No, I was just saying kind of anything else you saw from afar or up close over the weekend or over this last week.
I also want to mention Jamel Cofer. Saw him play with Universal Academy. I don't want to dig too deep into the RJ Hampton showcase. Like Stacy gonna really talk a lot about that, but Jamel Cofer had a good showing for Universal Academy. He's an unsigned senior guard that he's a no-brainer Division I basketball player, and you can make an argument that he's a higher-end Division I basketball player. And you know, lefty with a good athleticism, jumper, starting to really make shots now. Maturation of his game, just the game is slowing down for him. Really like Noah Shelby, 2022, he looked good. He looked good as well. You know, playing with better pace and understanding how to change speeds. And, you know, he's always shot the ball well, but, you know, now he's kind of learning how to do more stuff off the bounce and make plays. So from a close, from afar, I've heard Jay Sean Jackson been looking good for Wagner. In Houston, legacy has been very, very strong. I'm actually excited about today's game against O.D. Wyatt. Speaking of O.D. Wyatt, had a really good game against Kimball. where they played. Heard really good things about how Jacoby Lewis played. And Kimball, they starting to kind of get it rolling. Arteria Morris, Chauncey Gibson, both 2022 players. I've been hearing a lot of good things about. And there's another kid from Sauk. I heard he's averaging like 25 points a game. I forgot his name, but I definitely want to mention him just for someone that's really just been performing and putting up good box score stats. But definitely, I got when numbers like that pop out to me, that makes me have to go out there. I'm gonna need to go out there and catch a game or two, and get a real good feel for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll let you introduce our special guest, our first special guest, since you know him as well as anybody, working hand in hand and him kind of mentoring you. You talked a lot about him on the last show, so I'll let you go ahead and introduce our guest.
The man, the myth, the legend. Alan Branch, my mentor, owner of Texas Boys Basketball. Mr. Branch, you there?
I'm good. You sound a little choppy over there down there in Houston, a little rough on you, huh?
we getting along.
Yeah.
You
got me pretty good, Brian.
What's good, Coach?
What'd you say, honey?
Am I better, Brian?
Coach, did you hear my intro, Coach?
I heard a couple pieces of it. Get to text it to me. All I heard was something along the lines of legend or something. I didn't hear the rest of it.
Oh, you're a legend, Coach. You're a legend, Coach.
The only thing legend mean is that you got a whole lot of birthdays. You've been around longer than everybody else.
Well, that's not the only thing. I know some older guys that aren't legends, Coach. I know some older guys that aren't legends.
Yeah, and not too many 25-year-old legends.
No.
Welcome to Inside High School Hoops, Uncle Branch. Great to have you on. I know you're driving as well. Are you headed to see some games? You headed to see family? What's your destination?
Basketball, Coach. Duncanville High School and Westlake High School. Going to be on the campus of over in Belton, college campus.
Okay, nice. So real quick before we kind of get into some of the team's performances that you saw and heard about and have followed, along with individual performances, tell the people everyone should know, but just give them a quick refresher on who you are and what you do in the state of Texas in regards to basketball.
Alan Branch, TexasBoysBasketball.com. I work there with Tim Littlefield and Umana, who we cover the entire state of Texas: East Texas, South Texas, Central Texas, DFW area, West Texas, and I support Umana on the 5-state hoop report, and now Umana is with Round Ball, and which is a national deal. But we're basically all basketball scouts that come together, and we work Texas grassroots basketball, which is a event camp, grassroots high school, junior college, post grad, prep school type events we run. We run about, I think it's about 8 events, I believe, is where we are right now, between camps and NCAA certified club team events. And then we run the oldest event of ours, which is about 14 years old, is the Lone Star JUCO Prep Showcase. Obviously, everything has been goofy with COVID, and then now I act as the Chief Strategic Officer for Accelerated Sports Metrics, which is an analytics company that serves the NBA, university, and soon to come to grassroots high school gym near you.
Yeah, you covered it all right there, Uncle Branch. Appreciate that. So what were some of the, between you, Ani, we'll talk to you first. Alan, what were some of the performances from a team standpoint or from an individual standpoint from this last week that stood out to you?
I think that question was directed to me.
Yes.
I had a chance to go to the R.J. Hampton, first annual R.J. Hampton hoop showcase piece there in out in Frisco. good lineup. I thought the opportunity to see Lancaster High School, which is a long-time brand, been in place for a long time, and had a lot of success with Farron Douglas as a coach there, and watched a matchup between them and I with a group over at Entrepreneurial Academy, and that was a good matchup. Uh, 85 or 90% of the games I watch, if not all of the games I watch, are toward uh, all geared toward the number of collegiate prospects that are in the game.
You said they're all geared towards. Say that again. We lost you for a second.
Collegiate prospects this year doesn't have as many. You got Wade Taylor there headed to Texas A&M, but always in Texas boys basketball, we always like to find the next one. And the coach's son there, Farron Douglas' son, I think, Ronnie probably would know his name. He could be a junior. I'm not sure. Is a kid there, I think, that has a chance to be really good. It was good to see Keontae George. Another game that was highlighted game. I thought potentially one of the most competitive games for the whole day on the slate was John Paul II from Plano, private school at Plano, Texas, versus Taka Storm, which is, in my opinion, and according to all publications, a top 5 homeschool program in the country. And watching the two of them compete, got a chance to really see, probably 6 Division One mid-major higher players all in one game. Uh, that was a treat to be able to watch that situation. Robert Jennings is a kid right now that's going to be a good college player. Uh, all indicators say so. The question is he about to make the jump uh, from a level wise? Uh, he's a kid that I could see at a Texas Tech or at a University of Houston because of its grittiness and its toughness and its versatility. Explosive 4. I'm not going to give him the honor of calling him a 4-3 yet. He needs to get into skill work, but he's not a long ways from being a 4-3 and being able to stretch it out some. But extremely explosive. Uh, just one of those kids that is a good player and has the opportunity to get a whole lot better. I thought one of the interesting comparisons, and I'll just give it. A lot of times I don't talk about the meeting in the office stuff in public settings like this, but I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and put a little pressure on the kid. We look at KJ Adams, committed and headed to Kansas, who I'm on my en route to go see now at Westlake High School, was a really good player, and I know he's a top 10 player on our list. I don't know if he's 6'7" or something like that, but a good player. At one time may have been number 1 or number 2 in the state of Texas. Tell me what's the real difference between the two, especially at the same time. So that was intriguing to look. I mean, obviously, when you get a chance to see, probably could be the biggest upside athlete player in the state of Texas that's on our list is Manny Oseki, signed and sealed and committed to Texas A&M. I thought Buzz did a tremendous job of identifying. I think a lot of people didn't quite figure it out. I mean, COVID has hurt evaluation tremendously. Nobody ever questioned his athleticism, but he didn't get that spring and summer evaluation window that he would have gotten with Texas hard work. Luke Nunez, Under Armour guys at that particular time. Seeing him in that game, he was the best player in that game. And then you've got the other kid going to Texas Tech who's really good. That's there at John Paul, and Undy knows how to throw names around. I'll say everything King call a kid's name, but really good player there, versatile. Didn't have a great game, but showed why. Could just flat out 6'5", 6'6", flat out score the basketball. Uh, I thought Taka Storm did a good job on him. I thought they did a decent job on Manny Oseki, but Manny Oseki still ended up with assists. He's just that kind of player. He invents the kid that left and went to Lalamere, and I won't slaughter his last name, probably potentially have the highest upside to all the way to the highest level in that particular class. Or coming out of the state of Texas. Manny is a kid that's leaving 2021 class and the 2022 kid. But that game was, I thought, may have had more mid to high Division One prospects in it than maybe any game I've had a chance to watch this year. Since, in bouncing around the COVID, everything's been a bit of a blur. You got to try to figure out if you can get in the game and make sure your name's on the right list, get your mask, your hand sanitizer, and social distancing, and DISD. You go on and buy a $4 ticket and scan your phone and go through the protocol there and head it down here. I think I got everything in line. I should be in good shape with both of the head coaches to go into this gaming situation. So it's been a little tough, Brian Burton, but we get.
Yeah, how is the process? Thanks so much for sharing those thoughts on those games and those players. How has the process been for being able to successfully? Obviously, we know Division One starts today. They're hoping to have the success that some of the high school and even college football has had as far as safety and not having, just being able to play games. I think that's the biggest thing. So how has high school been able to be successful so far? What are some of the things you've noticed in this kind of COVID season?
Well, I'm going to say something that may not be politically correct, but it's a fact. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. The more testing you do, the more problems you have. And that's not that testing is necessarily a bad thing, but a lot of the high school basketball is rolling along because they don't have the same testing protocol that you have at the collegiate level. Yates just went down COVID, pulled off out of the event that he's covering there in Houston now with the Hoops Giving event over at Houston Christian High School. Had to plug teams in. He's been high school coaches calling all week long, checking to see if there's a opening or if you know anybody wanting to play. I mean, it's kind of like glorified pickup right now. So high school hasn't been hit as hard. Texas has been really unique. I talk to people all over the country. They can't believe the amount of basketball we're playing. But Texas is just they put in roughly a 40 to 50% capacity, mandatory masks, buckets and buckets of hand sanitizer, and keep going. That's what's happening in Texas. And other places like California, New York, starting in January. And I think in some weird kind of a way, they're going to be in a tough place because I don't think we're going to be out of the woods in January like they would be. So we're going to be ahead of the curve here in Texas is moving along. As far as the collegiate situations, another very extremely unpolitically correct statement, and I'm not supporting this statement, but it's just a reality. At the Division One level, the programs don't test for another 150 days once a kid has contracted COVID. So a lot of the rosters, 70, 80, 90% of the roster has already had COVID. So they're moving out of the wood. So some of the ones that are at the 20 and 30% COVID contraction rate are still in the woods and having to cancel games and not be able to go. And things are changing in the last minute. University of Oregon lost Eastern Washington 36 hours before the tip. Um, saw all the stuff with Arizona State. It's a can of worms. Just pick through it and work it, show up and play when we can, and when we can't, we don't play, and we wait till another opportunity to play. That's about the real of it, Brian.
Yeah, you covered that well. In college basketball, we hope they're able to have the same type of success that you guys have had in the state of Texas as far as just being able to play games and keep people safe. Um, Definitely made some statements that some people wouldn't necessarily want to say out loud, but I'm glad you did because there's a lot of truth to what you said. What are you looking forward to this week to seeing? Who are some of the top teams that you've been impressed with so far overall since the season has started? And maybe who are some of the sleeper teams that you've seen and some of the sleeper performances?
Uh, we head to a good one right now. Uh, Westlake has an out-of-state kid that Tim Littlefield identified. Uh, Pretty good. I'm gonna get a good look at him now. I don't want to scream a level out or anything.
And real quick to interrupt you, Branch, who is Tim Littlefield? I know you mentioned him earlier. Who is Tim Littlefield and you guys, Texas boys basketball? Talk a little bit about him because I know he's an important member of what you guys do.
He's a Central and South Texas editor of Texas boys basketball. We try to identify certain geographics, but at the end of the day, we're interchangeable. Honey's in Houston. Tim and I are going to be in the same place. Tim comes to Dallas. I go to San Antonio, Austin. It just takes some soldiers to get it done. And, we still look at East Texas, West Texas, and he probably does the best job in West Texas. But Tim is probably the oldest and most leading authority on Central South Texas basketball. Back when I was coaching club basketball, he was coaching high school basketball official, was a club basketball coach with the Celtics, had a lot of good players, had a couple of pros. And, when you say you had a couple of pros based out of San Antonio, that's pretty good. When you're in Dallas and Houston, you had a couple of pros, but we had 15, 20 pros in 20 years. So that's what, when you can say that coming out of there, says a lot, has a good feel for basketball, but he's based out of San Antonio. He's a classroom teacher, good man, strong man of faith, good family guy. Like Tim. Tim been a great addition to the staff. Probably with Snoop Johnson leaving us, we were able to do a lot of this at this level, and with Snoop, Honey, myself, Snoop Johnson leaves for a college job at UTA. Got a big shout out to the UT Mavs that they are going to be playing against another close friend of mine, Mike Burton at Oklahoma State. There, I'll be making that game this afternoon. I think about 3:30. You can tune in on that.
Yeah, they kick off today, bringing a lot of Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex guys home to play in Arlington. Talk a little bit about that game real quick. I know we're a high school show, but we got so many high school DFW guys playing that game, from Cade Cunningham, Isaac Likely, Chris Harris coming home. Talk a little bit about that game real quick, if you don't mind.
The Pena kid from over to Arlington Martin, 6'9", long athletic 4. That's one of the things that you can look forward to at TexasBoysBasketball.com. Obviously, we are a media scouting service that covers high school, junior college players. One of the things that we're going to start doing and featuring at TexasBoysBasketball.com is the fact that we'll have updates on when the players leave, and we'll be following up with reports and articles talking about where they are now and how things are going. And today is a perfect where they are now day. You've got a Division I game on ESPN2 with probably seven Texas kids playing in it.
Yep.
Between the two teams, that's pretty good. That's
absolutely
that's pretty good. Yeah. So that's a deal there. But I'm intrigued by the game I'm headed to. Once again, COVID. COVID makes this. Usually, this conversation, I'd have a piece of paper and a list.
We lost you. We lost your audio for a second.
Unfortunately,
You said usually what? We lost your audio for a
you
second.
guys still there? Okay, I got you. There you go. Technology, I went down in a rough spot there. But you guys will hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You said usually something, and then we lost you for a second.
Okay, I don't hear you all. That's why I asked. Put a thumbs up if you hear me. Go sign language on the rest of this one and remind me of being at church.
Let the church say
Yeah.
amen.
We got the lady signing next to the preacher. But no, that I'm excited about what will happen this Saturday. Glenn Smith will be running the 12th, 13th annual Thanksgiving Hoop Fest with American Airlines Center. That's going to be extremely exciting. But once again, COVID strikes, and I'm not sure. I talked to David Peavy last night. He's good. He'll be there, to the best of my knowledge. Yes, YSPIR prep. With, a lot of people talk about that school and talk about the number one player in the country being there. But FYI, they've got 3 other high-made players on that team. But that matchup against Duncanville High School, I'm excited about. I was really excited about watching St. Mark's, but St. Mark's may be having some administrative things that they may not be there, but that's the tough part. Brian, this is a tough conversation you got me on, because I can tell you what I'm looking forward to, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen, that the game is going to happen, players are going to be there, there's going to be a switch. Yates pulled out of this event. They plugged in Stafford High School, where Honey is there. That's the second plug-in at the hoop giving event there in Houston. It's a little bit of a moving target, but we promise you, steering wheel and cell phone in hand, Honey and Money, Alan Branch, and Tim Littlefield, we'll be working at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Anna, you
still
with?
I can hear you guys.
Anna, you still with us down there?
Got something.
You said what?
What does that say?
I just said I just making sure you were still with us.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm with it.
This means that you see me. This is crazy talk show. Only one person can hear.
Hey, give Branch
Guys,
the
time
thumbs
out,
down.
time in.
Give Branch the
We'll
thumbs
give
down.
Branch a quick time out. We'll give him a quick time out. Let him figure out his technical difficulties. He doesn't have you there with him. I need to help him figure that out. So he's on his own a little bit right now.
He figured it out. He'll figure it out. I taught him well.
So yeah, talk a little bit about the event that you're going to, and some of the things that you'll be covering, and I'll also let you kind of pose a couple questions for the young man with the gray beard yourself.
Yeah, where you can make a play.
We got the Hoops Giving Jim Hicks RCS Hoops Giving Classic. So you got Westbury Christian, who has a big fella 2021 that one very intrigued by. Obviously, Jack Yates is not playing, so I think Stafford High School is going to play. Then you got Concordia Lutheran and Premier Academy. Concordia Lutheran, they boast the kid that committed to Boise State, RJ King, guard that can really shoot the ball with a quick trigger. Premier Academy, you have Doc Mordor. I probably botched his last name, but Big Doc, really long, skilled, kind of your modern day face-up guy, face-up big. So you got him. You got another kid named Devin, who's good, and you got Will Young, who transferred from Shadow Creek, and then you got they got another player, another guard, Ethan Yancey, athletic guard that really thrives getting downhill in his space and finishing above the rim. So that's gonna be a good one. That Concordia Lutheran, they traditionally run at 1-3-1, so I will be interested to see how Premier Academy really operates offensively around it. That 1-3-1, they have length, they move well, they move when the ball is in the air. So that's gonna be a good matchup right there. You got 11:30, you got Sharpstown and Goose Creek. Again, watching Josh Farmer for Sharpstown. He's another one of those 2021s that's available that definitely, no, as far as just physical tools and just ability, natural ability, it goes to the high major level. Just consistency in the offensive end with and just toughness and overall just consistency with his overall play. That's a big thing. When I last saw him, he played well, so we'll be excited to see how he plays at 11:30. Goose Creek is a tough team. I don't really know any of the prospects that are there, but they're always generally a good team, tough. They get after you, so it'll be a good evaluation game for Josh Farmer. And then you got Houston Christian and Woodlands Christian. Houston Christian, they have Noah Khan, is an unsigned senior. He's an available prospect guard, real gritty, tough, hard nosed, gets to the basket. Is gonna talk his stuff. Noah's just a fun player to watch, and one thing about him is you're not going to beat his team without him, swinging. You're not going to knock him out. If it's a 12 round fight, he's going all 12 rounds. So that's what I like about him. And then watching the Woodlands Christian, we talked about Austin Benini earlier. Just him really performing well. Recently had a good game against Premier Academy. Chance Perkins has really made some strides as a basketball player. I think I talk about the game slowing down. You can just tell he's not rushing to get his shots. He's not looking at the ball and his feet's kind of shuffling. He's just getting the ball, patient with it, reading the defense, making a play, rebounding, defending. So I'll be really good. Houston Christian also has a 2024 guard, Zion Pimpkins. That's a tough. I like him. I mean, he gets a lot of stuff done. He doesn't do anything necessarily great, but just overall good basketball player. Will shoot from the perimeter, get to the basket. He has a good body especially for a kid his age. I'd like to see how he develops going forward. But Zion Pimpkins is a 2024 that I like. And then, like I said, at the 4:30, you got the game of the day. And that's Legacy School Sports Science at Fort Worth. OD Wyatt. OD Wyatt, the guard play, and just the backcourt play is just really, really strong. You got Jacoby Lewis, point guard. That's just a natural, pure point. You don't really see that. You don't really see that with kids, especially in the high school level, that really know how to dictate plays, know how to make plays for others, but also know when to score in the flow of the offense and get there. So Jacoby Lewis is a kid I'm enjoying watching play basketball. Marcellus McCreary, he's another kid that I've talked about in the last show, gets better and better every time I see him. This will be a good evaluation game for a kid like him, just see how he scores versus the length that Legacy boasts. So that'll be a good game. And then you got the Kendall Fair, who committed to a Division II. He's another kid I really like to see how he just operates versus the length Legacy have. And we talk about length. And when you talk about Legacy, you got Ashton Smith who signed to Texas A&M. You got Sir Isaac Heron that's available, probably one of the best available players in the state. No-brainer top 20 player in the state of Texas. Then you got Jonathan Massey, who got good size at the guard position. He just committed to McNeese State. You got Brian Miles, who committed to Prairie View. Then you got who's 6'6", 6'7", skilled under the basket. You got PJ Neal, and then you got the other kid that committed that came from Chicago. That's Jalen Gibson. That's 6'3", 6'4". So there's a lot of length, especially in the backcourt and the front court. So it'll be good to see how the guards handle the pressure, because OD White's going to come with a lot of pressure. They're scrappy. They get in your personal space, and then see how the bigs, when you see a kid that has probably 5 to 6 inches as far as just an advantage on the block or just size wise, period. Smaller, maybe stronger guys can push them around and stuff. So I would like to see how they just, hold position and still, keep the ball high, and then just little things like that I'm going to be watching that game. That's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Ani. I think we lost Alan Branch. He may be back, hopefully. We wanted to get him back in. He lost his connection, then he came back. He's driving on the road, so we'll plug him in when we can. Let's talk some RJ Hampton showcase. We have Stacy Houston, who will enter the studio as soon as we come back from a quick 30-second break. And we'll talk RJ Hampton showcase when we get back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We got Ani and we got our main man, Stacy Houston, from Dallas, representing the RJ Hampton Showcase. Got the fresh lid on. If you can't see it, you definitely want to figure out where you can cop one of those. I think we got you on mute, Stacy, but if you can unmute and chime in, we'd love to talk to you about the showcase.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Y'all on fire this morning, man.
Yeah, we got some good guests, man. That's what makes it go. That's what makes it go. We thank you for your comment, Tori. Thanks for chiming in, Tori. We'll talk about some quick comments we got from the people. We got our man Bilal Batley, University of Houston. Good luck today versus Lamar, opening the season. One of my good friends and definitely one of the best in the state of Texas at what he does, and one of the better teams in the state of Texas. And then we got creative coaching showing some love to Austin, saying he's a shooting high school version of Jason Williams. I believe he's talking about white chocolate. And then we got Tori Raspberry giving us some love, saying great show, guys. So, we'll get straight to it. Stacy, welcome to the show. Tell us about how the RJ Hampton Showcase came about. I know Ani was there. He touched on it. Alan Branch touched on it as well. It was the hype of the weekend. Tell us about how it came about.
Well, the Hamptons they're just a family that wants to give back, and at the beginning, probably in January, we started talking about how to make a splash right now during COVID. So we started talking about the event prior to COVID, but we wanted to do a high school event in November to kind of give some of our guys here locally a chance to play on the stage. So kind of threw some ideas around. And the one thing that we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure we did it in some type of arena. So we looked at a lot of different places, and we settled on Co-America, which is not too big, but yet it's not too small. And so RJ is really, really wants to make a difference in the community. He knew that he played locally a lot in high school, didn't get to travel a lot, didn't get to play on really big stages other than the Hoop Fest. And so he wanted to create something that would bring in the national guys, national teams, national media, bring those guys in to help teams who can't travel, who districts don't allow them to travel across the country, or their teams may not be considered good enough to travel across the country. So we wanted to create a platform for them to do that. And I think we got off to a good start this year with the event, and really feel like it's going to grow.
Yeah, it sounds like the event was big time. I know Ani spoke about it a little bit earlier. Ani, what were your thoughts on the event for the first time?
I thought it was a really good event. I thought you had high caliber players, and then you had high caliber teams, and the matchups were really strong from the beginning to the end. I enjoyed it, and especially being at Co-America Center. Man, it was cold as hell, Stace. The gym was cold, but you know what? I had to have two jackets on. I had to have two.
Yeah. Make sure I let everybody know you got to wear a jacket. You make sure you wear a jacket. Yeah.
Bring two jackets.
Yeah.
Bring two jackets.
That ice coming up through the wood of the floor, and I think if you were not moving around, you got a little chilly. My wife even brought that up.
What were some of the highlights? What were some of the highlights as far as games, as far as matchups, as far as performances, as far as teams? And Ani, you chime in that too.
I honestly think the biggest highlight, man, was just having RJ there the majority of the day, and really watching him get into the games. He wasn't on his phone. He was mingling with the fans. He was really a part of the event. So to me, that was the highlight. I think all the games were exciting. Ani's Taka Storm and John Paul was probably the game of the day. That was a really, really, really good game. High caliber plays. If you go to the Instagram and you go to the Twitter, you'll see the big time plays. We had a lot of standout guys. We had actually 5 game MVPs, and we were fortunate enough. My family was fortunate enough that Marquita Hampton and Rod Hampton wanted to name the game MVPs after Deion. So the award was the Deion Jackson Houston game MVP. And so we had 5 of those guys. I would like to name those guys, and I know I'm going to mess up this young man's name from Spring Creek Academy. Ani, maybe you can help me with it. Zadian Bedry. 6'10", 2021 power forward.
Say it again, Ani.
Zinedine Bedry.
There you go. Appreciate that. He's a 2021 6'10" power forward. He finished the game with 15 and 10. That was the first game of the day. Second game of the day, probably should have been a co-MVP. We weren't prepared for a co-MVP, but Vincent Sagona of Prestonwood really played well. He had 28 points, 6 of 12 from three-point land, 10 of 16 from the field. But then
that's my guy. I got to shout out my guy real quick because I work for his father, Jim Sagona, the head coach at Collin County Community College, the Godfather. So got to shout out Vinny Sagona and the Sagona family, Coach Sagona.
That's his son?
That's his son.
That's his son.
Yeah. It runs in the family.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Hey, that kid can really score the basketball. He can really score the basketball. And he's only a 2022. He's a 2022 kid, too. Yeah. RWG STEM Academy, coached by Ashton Bennings, first year varsity head coach. They had a young kid. He's a 2022. He's not necessarily young, but 2022 kid, Abdul Bihad Jr. He was electrifying. He scored 29 points. He was 6 of 15 from three-point land, 11-22 from the field. He played well as well. Third game of the day, we had GSAA Academy versus Universal Academy. Universal Academy is freaking loaded. They're ridiculously loaded. They're going to be a problem for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. They're going to be a problem. Jamel Kofer was really, really – he got RJ up out of his seat, and RJ almost ran to the baseline on this dribble penetration dunk to the left side of the court, left side of the rim, and then just tomahawk dunked on I'm not going to name the big kid he dunked on. I'm not going to do that. But he dunked on a big one, on a big kid.
He dunked on 2 people. He dunked on 2 people.
Yeah.
I mean, we can say. I'm
not going to say it. I'm not on here to bash kids. I'm not on here to bash kids now. What do they do? This little top of the head deal the young folks do. That was one of those. That was one of those.
Yeah. But you know what? I applaud Lee for jumping in and trying to alter it. I mean, big fella's gonna get done.
Look at your name dropping. Look at your name dropping. But he finished. I'm just saying. He finished the game with 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He played really, really well. Noah Shelby out of that game played really, really well. I think he impressed some people with his play. 2022 point guard, 6'2", finished the game with 20 points. He actually had 3 rebounds, was 4 for 10 from three-point land, 8 for 16 from the field in that game. In game number 4, Taka Storm versus John Paul, coached by the I'm gonna start calling him the legendary Ani Umana. Legendary. His kid, who I'm really a big fan of.
Real quick, Stace. He said he was coaching and evaluating. Is that true? Is he was coaching and evaluating?
He didn't do no evaluating. He didn't do no evaluating.
No.
He didn't do no evaluating. He was look. He was in coaching mode after his game.
So
his game, he evaluated.
What is Ani like?
Ani is really good, man. I actually had the honor of coaching against him in Dion's All-Star game last summer.
Okay.
And I've never lost an All-Star game that I've ever coached. Ani can say he beat me. Ani beat me. He
How
beat
about
me the game. Yeah. So, he's very passionate. What I like about him, I even got to see him last night coach game. He's very into his players. So like when he's talking to them, they know he's talking to them. He'll make sure that they have eye contact with him. He makes sure that they understand. He and I were actually sitting down after the game, and the concern that he has about his players emotionally, physically, all that stuff, man. He's gonna, if that's what he chooses to do, he's gonna be really, 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 really good at coaching. He could probably go to the coaches ranks, man. He's pretty good at it. Pretty good at it.
I love it. You heard it here. You heard it here first. I love it.
And he has two guys that I'm gonna say probably don't get enough evaluation. No, I'm not gonna say evaluation, enough exposure. And I know because Ani is an evaluator, he tries not to talk about them as much. And I'm gonna be an advocate for these two guys. Jason Thirdkill, man, is I almost got, I don't use special a lot, but I've almost got special spelled out by his name. 6'7", can defend, man. The kid rebounds. He's fast. He's athletic. He can stroke it. He can score off the bounce. He finished the game, man, with 28 points. He had 2 assists. He had 11 rebounds, was 10 of 14 from the field, 5 of 7 from three-point range, and 3 of 7 from the free throw line. So if he makes 2 more free throws, man, it's 30 points. And he did it in 29 minutes, right? Robert Jennings is a kid that I had never seen before. And they tell me he played for TJ with Texas Impact. And I don't remember him. I'm not going to even lie, I don't remember him. But I know him now. I've watched him play a couple of times this year during the school year. And, man, he is a monster. 19 points, 5 rebounds, was 9 of 13 from the field. And just ultimate motor, 2022, 6'8". Already has a college-built body. He is going to be a problem, and he's not getting enough recognition. So I'm gonna put all of our local media guys on blast and just say I may be late to the party, but man, you guys need to talk about this guy a little bit more. Get out to some of Taka Storm's games and watch this guy play because he is definitely, I believe, a high major Division I player. On the other side of that, you had Manny Obaseki with 28 points, was the game MVP. He was 28-4, 12 of 17 from the field. Jalen Tyson, and Manny's committed to Texas A&M. Jalen Tyson committed to Texas Tech. Finished the game with 22 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Manny was actually 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Those guys are going to be really, really good in the SEC and the Big 12. The last game of the day, Lancaster versus Louisville High School. Wade Taylor was really good. Didn't shoot. He only shot 2 threes, which was surprising to me. But he finished the game with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 19 from the field, 9-11 from free throw. And the kid, Marquise Sykes, is just the super glue-all player, man. Kid had 11 points and 15 rebounds. I believe looking at all the stats, he was the highest rebounder in the whole event for the games at 15. And he's about 6'3", 6'4". We're giving him 6'4" at that. Just tremendous heart, hustle. High school players were just okay. Um, they didn't really show up. They competed, but far as individuals, nobody really stood out. They were even across the board. Trey Clayton was solid. Keontae was solid. Cruz was solid. Those guys were just solid on the event. But man, we were truly blessed to have. I was doing the media deal yesterday, just giving thanks to the media, and we were blessed to have 33 media guys that actually showed up. That actually showed up, and we had 5 to 6 guys that were from other states that came in, and so it was really a blessing, man. And I was telling somebody that the events are made not because of fans; they're made because of the media, because of the guys of the hard work that those guys put in to give these guys exposure. And I truly appreciate those guys coming out during this time and supporting the event.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was a big time event, Stace. No, I appreciate you being out there and how my boys play, and just the overall atmosphere was fantastic. Especially in
I appreciate you guys coming too, man. It really meant a lot to the foundation. And like I said, man, I just believe that we've created a platform that is going to give some guys some national exposure with not even having to leave the city. And because some of our teams can't go anywhere, they can't travel. And so you have some teams who have some really good individual players that do need the opportunity to showcase their talents. Was very, very impressed with the prep schools, like Leadership Prep, Spring Creek Academy, RWG STEM, TACA, GSA8. Those guys, man, y'all really do a great job with your kids, giving them an opportunity to play, but yet and get exposure. And I learned a lot from those guys this weekend, just watching how those guys work, how hard they work. And there's some talented kids, and we have more talented kids here locally that aren't at traditional schools. It's crazy, man. We are low. If you are a Texas school, there's no reason you should have to recruit outside of Texas. There's no reason. You should be able to fill your whole team with guys from Texas because we're that loaded with talent. That loaded with talent, man.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, Ani. Obviously, we have a lot of guys. Jared Culver, for example, Carson Edwards, for example, NBA guy, Zaire Smith. I know 2 of those guys are Texas Tech guys or NBA guys. Who are kind of some of the guys on the radar? Talk a little bit about recruiting that maybe are under the radar or underappreciated that has a chance to kind of blow up and maybe be NBA players or even just high-level college players. Who are some of those guys just in the Metroplex in general? Stacy and Ani, I'll let you both kind of chime in on some guys you like. I know, Stacy, you mentioned Third Kill as a guy, and you mentioned some other guys that were high prospects. Anybody else that you haven't mentioned or anybody that falls into that category?
Well, for me, you gotta include Cason Wallace. You gotta include Arterio Morris. I don't even want to start naming guys, man, because there's so many guys, and I don't want anybody to feel like I left them out. But there's so many guys, man. We're honestly about. I think we have about, and Ani, correct me, with every class, we probably have about 25 guys that could, if everything went well for them, could have a running to be McDonald's All-Americans from 2021 all the way down to 2024. Like there's about 25 guys, if given the right opportunities, they may have a chance of being McDonald's All-Americans. They're that talented. Now, the politics come into it. Playing on the right shoe circuits and all that kinds of stuff comes into it. But talent-wise, we're about 25 deep. And of those 25, you just never know. And I'm going to go on a limb and say 5 to 10 have a chance of being pros. If they pick the right colleges, they continue to develop. They on the pace that they are developing because they have the size. They pass the eye test.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They have the size to be pros. Now they still have to develop. They still have to. Things have to go right for you. The right college and success rate and opportunity. But we have about 10 guys, man, that truly, truly have a chance. And you hear some names more than others. Of course, you hear Keontae George's name all the time, and but there are some guys out there that have a tremendous chance of accomplishing a goal, like the 5 guys that we just had on draft night this past Wednesday. So yeah, we got some guys, man.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off Stacy, and I'm gonna name a few names, and like you said, I don't want to go down the whole list because like you said, I don't want to make people feel like I'm not including them. But we talk about Casey Walls and Keontae George, even Big Vince that's out in La Lumiere right now, who's from San Antonio. And then you got guys like talented guys like Rodney Griffin, even though Anthony Black plays football as well, but just a real talented player.
Yes.
Big Zuby out of Portland. We'll talk about a kid. We'll talk about a kid that I still feel like doesn't really get, the recognition that he deserves. And that's a kid that has a chance, and he gets continually better. And knowing his, his people, and just knowing his work ethic. I mean, he's a kid that I really, really like. That 21 class is always interesting. I think, like we see it every year, Stacey. There's always a kid out of these classes that, they went to the right school. Maybe they weren't ranked as high in that class because they weren't, they couldn't really put it together yet, but the talent was always there. And, you got guys like Asher Smith, who looks the part. Jamel Cofer, who's starting to really kind of come to his own. Zurich Phelps is really starting to come to his own. You just never know out of this group, like just kind of just pop out of you, and you see him on draft boards. A few years later. That's just really what's the interesting part. And like Stacy said, you talk about 25 guys if they're in the right situation, and obviously, let's take away the politics for a minute, just with everything there in the right situation and may have the right push, they could potentially be fringe McDonald's All-Americans or definitely top 50 players in the country, so that's what makes Texas so interesting and just a hotbed. I mean, you just got a massive amount of talent. I talked about it last week. You got anywhere from 60 to 80 Division I basketball prospects, especially after some of them get done in the junior college level. So it's a state that really has a massive amount of talent, and it's always just interesting to see, oh man, where this kid come from. Look at a kid like Mason Jones. Great example.
Right. Jalen Harris.
Right, Jalen Harris. And then honestly, like, who would have thought Jemiah Ramsey was gonna be a one and done? So like, I mean, there's people that did, but just him having the performance he did his first year at Tech, people thought maybe it'd take another year, maybe 3, but that kid came out right in the scenes and did it. I mean, I don't think there was an issue of him being he was gonna be a pro or not. It's just either if it was gonna be 2 years, whatever. But like, you just never know what happens, and I think that's just what makes our state so interesting.
Right. Totally agree.
Stacy, anything you have?
That's just kind of my take, as far as those guys to have a chance to really thrive in the next level and then get to the professional ranks.
Ani's a little delayed, Stacy, but we're gonna love him anyway.
I'll tell you another kid, man, that I was impressed with. He didn't have a really, really good offensive game, but I've watched him. CJ Luster, 2022, 3 guard out of leadership prep. That dude is exciting to watch. He is, oh my God. His offensive game wasn't really there, but he made an impact on the game.
Right.
In other areas, defending and tempo of the game, pace of the game. He is definitely a Division I player as well, man. So it's so many the Amir Ali
Yes.
for Spring Creek 2024 6'8" wing may just be the best in the class when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
He may just be the best in the class when it's all said and done in that class, man, because his upside is really terrifying. It's not scary, it's terrifying. Because if he puts it together, he could actually dominate inside and out. Because he's already playing on the perimeter. Yeah, so if he gets any kind of, mid-range, low post, short corner post game, it's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. I remember when Amir came in, because he's originally from Columbus, Ohio. And when he came down, I went and watched Spring Creek. They do their workouts out in Richardson. And he said, hey, I got this 2024 kid. I think he got a chance to be special. That's what Monier told me, the head coach. And I went and watched. And the first play, I see him when they were going up and down. He grabs a rebound, takes one dribble, makes a no-look left-handed pass to the guy going down the court, and it leads to a dunk. And I was like, what grade is he? And he said, he's a freshman. I said, oh, shit. like right there told me, I said, I don't know how many guards in that class that can make that pass, let alone someone that's 6'8" with his physical profile, So that, like you said, Stace, he has a chance of being the best player in this class when it's all said and done. And Amir can be as good as he wants to be. It's just a matter of to work. But Monier does a really good job. Monier and that group do a really good job developing, especially even a kid like Zinedine, the big fella that had a good game when they play leadership. He's a kid that just seen him in the past couple of years just gets better. His body's gotten better. His skills gotten better. He's starting to really understand how to play. Monier does a really good job teaching his kids how to play. And that's why I'm kind of excited about Amir, just seeing him just through the growth process, seeing how he really develops and knows how to play, knows how to get his buckets, like you said, inside and out.
Universal Academy, I hadn't seen them. And but I've seen their kids play with different people. To see what Terrell Woody is doing over there is tremendously. I got a lot of respect for it, and I want to share this story real quick. They were on their way to Arizona past weekend, and so he had called. We had been going back and forth, on the phone, just getting everything prepared for the event, and so he was on his way out to Arizona, and so I had called him a couple of times, and I didn't hit him. So I sent him one of my famous texts. Hey man, what we doing? What we doing? Can you holler back at me? What we doing? And so he finally called me back, but it was the next day, and he said, "Man, I just had one of the really worst days in my basketball career, traveling." And I said, "Well," he said, "What?" So he said, "Man, we had a wreck." So he had a wreck. He's like, "Yeah, man, on our way out to Arizona." So in my mind, I was saying, okay, if you had a wreck, you send me the picture of the van, you in Dallas now. Like he said, yeah, we had to figure out how to get a ride, and we had to do all this stuff. We had to get a hotel. We had to do all this stuff. So I'm thinking, you prepare yourself to come back to the crib. If you can do it all that, you come. Do you realize, Ani and Brian, that this man was trying to figure out how to get these boys to Arizona because of the event was going to have exposure for these boys. He wasn't trying to come home. He was figuring out how to get to Arizona. And I say to people all the time, all these naysayers, all these people out there bumping their gums and talking about things that they have no idea what they're talking about. You have in guys like Terrell Woody that are overly sacrificing. I told him I'd have turned around. I'd have turned around. Stacy Houston would have turned around and came home. I wouldn't have. Because I was okay. Once I get to Arizona, now I got to figure out how to get us back to the crib.
Absolutely.
And I applaud him for that, man, because so often everybody wants to take shots at people because they do things their own way. And I tell people all the time, Rod Hampton got RJ to the league his own way. He did it his way. And sometimes that works. But you gotta surround yourselves with people that can help you along the way, do it your way. And I just wanted to commend, Woody, man, for coach, for having the the presence and the withal to say, no, I gotta make this happen for my boys, and to make that happen, man. And I just wanted to share that story, man, because I know people try to beat up Universal all the time and some different things, and yes, they do get kids in school. They right now have a commitment from William Shepard that's going to Oakland University. So you can't just go to Oakland University with no grades. Right. So they got to be doing what's right over there. Right. Yep. So I just want to make sure that our community knows that there are options for players that want to do things. I'm not even call it unconventional anymore. It's conventional now. It's the norm. You want to travel. You want to do certain things that a public school can't allow you to do. There are opportunities out there in this show that you can do that, right? In the community, there are schools here that would allow you to pursue what you're trying to pursue in your dreams of playing college basketball. So,
no, absolutely.
There's no one way to do it, right, Stacy and right, Ani? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Almost like with coaching, they talk about there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of ways that some people may press. Some people may play half court and run back doors. Some people may play a heavy rotation and play 12 guys. Some people may play just 6. There's a lot of different ways to be successful. I think, like you said, one of the biggest thing is figuring out your own way to do it, figuring out what fits for your family or your kid, because you can't follow. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So you can't just follow and say, well, RJ Hampton did this, I'm going to do that. Or Mayor Smith did this, I'm going to do that. Or whoever it may be, De'Aaron Fox did this, I'm going to go do that. Everyone has a different way that they had to get there. We talk about Jimmy Butler on the Junior College show. Jimmy Butler's a guy who came out of Texas that nobody knew about. He went to Tyler Junior College, had 0 offers, and now just led his team to the NBA Finals. You know what I mean? He's a Texas guy. Jay Crowder is also another JUCO guy. There's a lot of different routes that you may have to take in order to get where you want to go. We got Stacy for about 10 minutes left, 11 minutes. Anything else you want to talk about as far as upcoming things you have? Anything as far as the state of Texas or the city of Dallas? Anything you just want the people to just kind of hear from you as far as this season goes?
I think the one thing, man, that I really want to applaud is our media in our city. We have some guys that make some very, very big sacrifices. We have some guys, and I'm not just talking about evaluation services. I'm talking about videographers. I'm talking about photographers. These guys really make sacrifices to give these young men opportunities to accomplish their goals. And I think we don't give these guys enough praise. We do more tearing them down than lifting them up because they don't have to do it.
Yep.
They're doing it because they have a love of doing it. They may not do it the way you want them to do it. They may not say the things that you want them to say. But at the end of the day, what they are doing is they're bringing attention to Dallas basketball. And I want to applaud. I'm not going to even go and start naming people, but they know who they are. They know who our media is in our city and what these guys are trying to do. And I want to applaud everyone, not only everyone who attended my event, but everyone who takes the time out and they go to these games. And they sit. A lot of times they have to pay to get in to certain games, because different districts won't acknowledge what they're doing for their school, so they have to pay. So I want to just commend the media and just tell you guys, keep doing what you're doing, man, and let's try to figure out ways that we can be more supportive of each other. Because I don't think media is competition, right? I don't view media or guys who do this event or do that event as competition. I view us as a community. And I think in that community, there's a lot of things that are needed in order for that community to survive. Right. And I think we're blessed with several different media outlets, several different events. And I just think we need to figure out ways of supporting each other more. And that's going to be something that I want to try to do better on my end is try to galvanize everybody to figure out just how to support. You have to work together. Right. You don't want to, everybody can't work together. Right. But those who can, let's try to, so we can really maximize every event. And I remember when we first started talking about this event, I reached out to Glenn and I told him, I said, hey man, thinking about doing an event the week before yours. This is kind of my goal. This is the goal of it. And you're the person I'm chasing. I'm chasing to make this event as good as, may not be ever better, but as good as the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest, because Thanksgiving Hoop Fest have changed a lot of lives.
No question.
If you sit back and think about all the pros that have come through there, that have played in that event, and we want to simulate that, emulate that, copy that, whatever words you want to use, because that's the measuring stick. And that's where we're trying to get the R.J. Hampton high school basketball showcase. And just so everybody knows, we're coming to West Texas. We will be, we're in the talks right now of doing a Jared Culver showcase event in West Texas. We haven't finalized it, but we're in the talks of it. So West Texas, we're not going to leave y'all out. We are going to bring an event out there in that area as well. So that's kind of what I want guys to really know and think about going into 2021, because 2020 has been a year, right? And so we've all grown, we've all learned a lot, and I think we all know where we can get better, and we've gotten better in certain areas. So let's just continue to grow and continue to uplift Dallas basketball and the state in general, because I think if we uplift Dallas, then, Houston's always there. San Antonio's there. Austin's there. So if we uplift Dallas, everybody is watching everybody, right? And so everybody's going to up their game, which means now the state of Texas is that much better. So,
right. And Stacy, I want to expand. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I want to expand on Stacy's comments, especially for the media. And when I talk media more, the videographers and the photographers, and not just in the city, state, like even me going to different states on the national perspective, some of those guys, like you talked about, Stacy made a point, said they don't have to be there. Some of those guys come up from their full-time job and then drive up to the gym, and then stay up late to put out content. And I think we got to really, we don't need to bash them because maybe they didn't highlight our kid, or maybe they didn't take a picture of this kid, or that kid, and just understand, man, that guy just worked a 10-hour shift and drove down to watch a basketball game, and he got to go back to his family, and he's staying up late to deliver the content, and I really want to applaud those guys, even evaluators, those guys that do that. So that work, and then they come to watching games. So I really want just the general public to understand that, from everywhere. It's not even just a Dallas or a Houston, San Antonio. Just everywhere. When I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, I was seeing that. When I went to Arizona, just talking to some of those guys, these guys are working. How long should they coming in, and they're working hard and delivering content and to bring exposure to the kids. So I do want the public to really recognize and understand that before just getting upset over.
And a lot of these guys are not getting paid.
Right.
There is a lot of media service that don't have one client. Then there's guys who have clients, but it's not enough clients for them to make a living. They can't pay their mortgage. They can't pay the car. They can't clothe their kids on that. if they do have a few guys that are buying the service, these guys are making a sacrifice, and we got to respect that, and we have to appreciate it. It's real simple. They can't cover everybody. Now, it's enough guys to where everybody's going to be covered. But I tell people all the time, I don't evaluate and look at everybody because they're not in the lane that I'm in, right? There's certain players that I look to work with, but I'm going to put on events that help everybody. But right. I may not talk about everybody. That's why I open the doors for all of the media. When I was taking all the media requests, my wife was like, "You're actually going to let those?" It was like 60-something people signed up. And they were like, "You're going to actually let all 60 of those people in?" I said, "Yes, because it benefits the kids. Absolutely. It helps the kids. That's what they're giving back, and that's what I'm giving back. It helps because I don't cover all the kids. So I have to have those platforms in there that help do that. And again, I just want to applaud those guys. And Brian, I want to tell you before I get off this show, like this show, man. And I'm not saying it because I've been on it 2 times in 2 weeks and I feel special or anything, but this show is going to be really, really something special, man. You and Ani, y'all have something, and not just this particular platform. I got to watch the JUCO one that you guys did. Went back and watched that. This show is going to be game changing, bro. It's going to be game changing, and I applaud you for creating your own lane and totally excelling at it. And I'm very, very happy for you. And as a big brother to a little brother, man, I'm proud of you as well. You've been through a lot, and you persevered, and now you've created something that is really you. And you've always been the give back, look out for the other guy type of person, to go overboard with trying to help. And this right here, man, is you. It's you all day. Ani, what Snoop Dogg call him the Prince. They're gonna start talking to man, because he all over the place. He coaching national, in national media service and local, statewide. He got it going on. So I just want to applaud you guys, man, for what you guys are doing. First 2 shows have been fantastic, and I truly feel blessed to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. And for those that don't know, Stacy was on our All Access Coaches Corner podcast. That'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So excited to get people to get a chance to know Stacy's story. And I've said it so many times. I'm excited about, of course, what we're doing now, but so many people that I have to show love to, like Stacy, who's been there since the beginning of my career and knows it hasn't always been smooth. It hasn't even always been smooth between us as 2 guys that are working to help young men and working to put our programs in the best position. We've always made it about love, and we've always made it about figuring out a way to just support each other and work through our differences. And, I think that's the one part I love about the state of Texas and the city of Dallas that I'm from, is this, there's just so many great people and so many important people that are impacting lives. And I think, I'm so happy for Stacy and how he's just evolved and gone from being a guy who was an assistant grassroots guy to running his own organization. We gave a lot of tribute to his son on the podcast, but really almost a very tragic situation that happened with him no longer being with us, and he's in heaven watching down. But he had a situation where whenever he had it, we found out the news, it was almost Kobe Bryant like in the city of Dallas. For people that don't know, Deion, Stacy's son, a tremendous player, was at Duncanville, and just was one of those guys who had a charisma that so many kids in the city just loved him. I mean, he was such a giver, such a talented kid, and it was awesome in so many ways to see not only at that time how the city rallied behind him, but still has and still supports any event that Stacy has. And the players that grew up in that class, they still they know how good Deion was, and they know how important he was to that class, and they just celebrate him again in almost a Kobe Bryant-like way. So I just thank Stacy so much. I love what he's continued to do with not only his ability, but just his heart to give, because I think that's where Deion naturally got it from, is from his father. Sometimes the competitive part in all of us wants to prove our worth or find our way. And I just appreciate so much how Stacy has continued to evolve and help so many players, not only just some of the high-level guys he's close to like RJ and Jared Culver, but also in doing events like this and continue to want to promote the city of Dallas and the state of Texas. So salute to you, man. I appreciate you more than you know. A lot of reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now is because of you speaking that life into me and you telling me what you saw. And obviously we know Ani's one of the stars up and coming in what he does. And there's a lot of great guys in Dallas. Obviously Ani's a great friend of mine. We want to continue to bring on people from all parts of Texas to highlight. It's not a competition thing. I think Stacy hit it on the head. It's about highlighting these kids and about showing love to each other in a unified front, And so there's a lot of different guys covering. There's a lot of different guys doing film and videography and photography and coaching AU teams. It's not about a competition thing, man. It's nothing but love, man. So thanks so much again, Stacy. We'll let Ani have the Prince Ani. We'll let him have his final thoughts with Stacy, and then we'll let Stacy enjoy the rest of his day and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Man, thank you, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Ani, you got something you want to say to Stacy before he goes?
Man, just keep providing the platform that you have. I mean, for these kids, and even you've been someone I look to, for advice and for mentorship. You've been very helpful for me. And so, I mean, I just really appreciate all you've done just for the city, for these kids, and even for me. So I just want to let you know that, I appreciate what you've done.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the kind words, man. You guys keep doing what you're doing, man. You're really making a change. Really making a change.
Well, appreciate you, Stacy. Tell the missus we said happy Thanksgiving and enjoy those girls, man.
Will do, man. Will do. You enjoy the family, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Okay. Thanks so much. Awesome stuff from Stacy Houston. Definitely give him a follow on social media and support what he's doing in the city. And if you're a college coach that happens to be watching this, or even a high school coach or parent, definitely somebody that's great to reach out to, a great resource in the Metroplex in the state. We got JT Tatum showing love, one of the former coaches of DGH5, coached a kid named Kalen Wilson back in the day that I got a chance to sign and work with, that ended up going on to UTA and being a tremendous player. JT was also the coach that coached Jared Culver back in the day. So shout out to JT, man, doing great things, always having guys in the gym and doing great things in the community. I got to show a little bit of love to my mom, of course. My mom showing some love. Mom, appreciate you showing love. I know that you're proud. Wouldn't be in position I am without you, Mom. So gotta show love to moms. Appreciate the love and support. So real quick, we'll take a quick break, 30 seconds or so. We'll give a quick advertisement for the podcast that will be out Friday. We'll be releasing this later on today, but you guys will get a sneak peek, and then we'll bring on Antonio Castillo from Alamo City Hoops, who has really put Alamo City Hoops in the tri-state area. I believe the tri-region. I don't know how exactly he refers to it, but he's put it on the map. He's done a great job. San Antonio has always kind of been a city under the radar in the state of Texas, kind of overshadowed by Dallas and Houston and all the talent that's there. So excited to have Antonio on and talk about what he's built with Alamo City Hoops, and also just talk about that area. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome to All Access Coaches Corner, where our mission is to serve coaches, share their stories, and spotlight their programs with our host, Brian Burton. A longtime successful college basketball coach, former championship collegiate point guard, husband, and father, Brian is now the Vice President of Rising Coaches Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Alliance for men's basketball, an empowerment coach and founder of B3 Legacy Sports and the All Access Network. Sports broadcaster and host for All Access Coaches Corner and All Access Sports Media, Coach Burton is now using his successes, experiences, and connections to be a point guard in the sports industry at all levels, with a mission to help others to further their success. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join us in the All Access Coaches Corner.
Antonio, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show today.
What's good, Antonio?
Let's see if he's got some volume. We'll see. We don't have screen from him. We got the Alamo City Hoops logo.
You got his mic muted, Burton?
Nah, his mic's not muted. Antonio maybe having a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll try to give him a second to jump on. Antonio, can you hear us? We can't hear you just yet. We'll jump in when you can get things going, Antonio. Ani, go ahead and talk a little bit about what you've seen out of San Antonio and what you follow from San Antonio, Austin area yourself.
Well, so there's a big game going on. Mr. Branch was going to Austin Westlake and Duncanville game. You got KJ Adams, who signed to Kansas. You got Nakari Gihan, 2022 kid. They got another kid that transferred over there, I think from California. That he's a kid I need to really go watch. So Austin Westlake has a good team, good talent. I see him making a big playoff push this year. You got Colton Benson, who committed to Army, shoots the piss out of basketball. Shoots anywhere, can shoot it any time when he catches the basketball, always has his feet set. Really excited to watch him. They got a young group. There's a young core group in that 23 class. I got to see Urban ASAC play. You got Caden Gums, guard, really knows how to, get others involved. Not the quickest of players, but just real savvy and crafty and just knows how to get to spots and makes plays. You got Mashai Hill, who's a big fella that has an intriguing game. He's a kid I can see his junior, senior year. You're looking at, be like, whoa, I didn't think he, where'd this come from? I think there's so much room for growth for him, but he has the physical profile that really fits what you're looking for. You got another kid, Malik Presley, out of San Marcos High School, really talented. He's a kid I didn't mention early in that 2023 class. Definitely, you can put him in that top 10 to 15 range. Could even go higher than that, and you have a legit argument. You could support it with facts. So Malik Presley, like a long-range wing that with a versatile offensive game. You also have in that 23 class, there's a 2024 big, I think his name is Josh Jackson, I believe. I may have mispronounced his last name. Big fella that has size, strong, back to the basket, just hard to really, block his shots because he knows how to use his shoulders and his width to really generate space. So, I mean, in that Austin, Central Texas area, you got a good amount of talent. You got a good amount of talent. You got some promising young group that could turn out to be. You could have a couple, mid to high major players. Also Zayden High from Smithson Valley, 2023 kid, about 6'7". He's a kid that I saw at Scout Focus Camp about 2 years ago. It's kind of grown some. He was about 6'4" when I saw him. Now about 6'7". Still has his skill set, tougher than when I first seen him. And he's another kid, just just slowly coming along that I think Division I coaches will definitely keep tabs going forward.
Yeah, we're going to try to add Antonio. Pause right there, Ani. We're going to try to add Antonio back to the stream and see if we can get his volume going. Antonio, you guys got some volume going over there yet? I think we may be able to hear a little bit. Antonio, you there?
I can barely hear you, Antonio. We're making progress.
We can hear him, but just can't quite hear him very loudly. San Antonio's they're going through some weather changes, I think, so maybe that's affecting him. Antonio, is there any way we can turn up your I know you don't have quite the same signals and Wi-Fi that we have in Dallas and Houston most of the time, so we won't hold that against you. But is there any way you can turn your volume up a little bit where we can hear you? Not quite. Okay, well, we may have to. I'm gonna try to get Antonio another way. Ani, I know I paused you where you were. We'll let you continue, and then I'll try to get Antonio connected in a different way.
Well, no, for sure. I mean, I was just talking about, we had the high major prospects in San Antonio where you got Austin Nunez and then Jay-Sean Jackson, who committed to UT Rio Grande, and then you got Kevin Garcia, and there's several more players I miss on. Tim Littlefield does a really good job with the Central Texas area, just covering and just identifying the talent there. Kind of got to go back to my notes, and when I go back to San Antonio, just getting a really hard look at it. And I can't wait to get Antonio on, because I have a question for him. It's always interesting. We talk about with in San Antonio, and it happens in the state. It happens in East City, where you have a kid that leaves. Kids that leave. And in San Antonio, I am interested to get Antonio's thoughts on why the top players leave. You look at that class like Langston Love and Zach Clements. Vince is gone, and Austin Nunez is ruled ineligible. I do want to get Antonio's thoughts on why the kids, the top players, are leaving the city. And if you just think about it, like, what would a season look like if you had Zach Clements, Langston Love, Vince, Austin, everybody just here playing? What type of matchups we could have in the state, and just what would that look like? But I do want to get his thoughts on why the kids in San Antonio do leave, the top kids leave the city.
Yeah, we're trying to get him on the line. I think we'll get him here in just a second, and we can kind of get some. We may not be able to get his audio, but we can. We may not be able to get his video, but we can get his audio. So, great question. We got a comment that just jumped in. Creative Coaching Podcast. Our guy Mike, he said it's 80 degrees cold front in San Antonio. I think that's cool front. COO, is that a cool front? 80 degrees is not exactly a cold front, but I like it. I think we may have Antonio. Let's see if we can get him on here now. Antonio, your volume working?
Hey guys, man, I don't know,
Hey.
man. I got the iPhone curse, but can y'all hear me? Because man, y'all are coming in like Darth Vader to me.
Got you now. Hey, we're going to extend the show. We're going to go an extra 15 minutes just so we can make sure.
Let's go.
That we get some great San Antonio coverage now that we got them. So we're going to go special occasion, our Thanksgiving bonus for you guys. We're going to go 15 extra minutes and go to 12:15 Central so we can get some good San Antonio conversation with Antonio. So, Antonio, you back?
Yeah, man. Man, guys, I'm sorry. The audio for some reason, man, is coming in really, really choppy. But thank y'all for working with me, man. We'll try and make this happen. If not, some other.
Yeah, we're gonna give them a bonus extra 15 minutes. So we're gonna try to go for about 20 minutes, maybe 25 with you, and just hang out if you got the time. Love the backdrop. Love that we got the video on. Let's talk a little bit about, just real quick before we talk players, let's talk about Alamo City Hoops and what you have created. Again, as a former college coach and recruiting San Antonio, you had the Jim Hicks and the guys in Houston. You had Alan Brandt and Stacy Houston and different guys in Dallas. There just was never a presence in Alamo City as far as someone who was really kind of promoting the city and the players. And then all of a sudden comes Antonio with this Alamo City Hoops. You now have Alamo City Hoops with the girls. Just talk about the vision and how you created it and kind of how this all came about, man.
For sure, Brian. And again, like I said, I'm going to do the best I can here, not to drag it on. But first off, thanks for even having me on. And yeah, this September marked 7 years that I've created our nonprofit. We are registered 501c3, and basically what pushed it, Brian and Ani, was my first real job out of college in 2005 was as an independent freelance journalist, and I quickly got picked up by Fox Sports. At that time, a long time ago, before Fox Sports Media, before 27 Sports took over Scout.com, I don't know if y'all remember that, there was pretty much only two recruiting sites, Rivals.com and Scout.com. And so when UTSA started coming along as far as growing, with some of the connections being local here in San Antonio, I got picked up by Fox Sports Media to cover UTSA 365 days a year round with the basketball team. Because remember, football didn't come till 2011, right? So that started. I built that rapport when football came. I hit the ground running. Fox Sports Media, who still owned Scout.com at that time, then wanted me to start covering Texas State University up the road in San Marcos. I started covering them. And during those years, guys, I started seeing just how many basketball prospects on the boys' side. And like you said, Brian, we're now going on year number 5 with the girls. But on the boys' side, just how many kids were just going left so under-recruited, as in our time getting to know each other when you were at Lamar, Brian, from the George Kings who did qualify late, from the Jordan Burns, who had to go the prep school route, to even the Andre Robersons, who at one point had one offer. And, it's funny, my buddy at the time when we were doing this joked with me about people don't know how close he was to actually becoming a UTSA Roadrunner. Him, Jordan Clarkson, the whole package before the blocks fell for Tad Boyle to get the Colorado job from Northern Colorado. So that basically started, Brian, Ani, where coaches were asking, hey, Antonio, do you know of a point guard? Do you know of a two guard? Do you know of a wing? They're like, yeah, I do actually. We have plenty of them here in San Antonio and Central Texas and Austin. And so it just grew in 2014, literally a thought out of the back of the bedroom. And now on our 7th season overall, glad to say that we personally know I need to update our profile, but personally now know over 450 college coaches, not emails, but as you know, Brian, as you know, Ani, coaches that you can actually text and call, pick up the cell and call, and they're going to answer or get back to you to help to say, hey, we're looking at a kid. We got a kid that might fit you. We're evaluating him at a D1 minus or a D1 plus. So just seeing how many kids were consistently left under recruited is really the big reason on why we did it, Brian.
I love that. I love the vision. I love how it evolved, and kind of like a lot of these things end up happening, Antonio. It just kind of happens organically, right? You're not really setting out to do it, and then you kind of see a space that maybe could be well served, and man, you've just blown the doors off between not only Alamo City Hoops but with the girls as well. So let's talk a little bit about San Antonio, and you also cover now a little bit of West Texas as well. So you do San Antonio, Austin, kind of that Central Texas, and a little bit of West Texas. I think Ani mentioned maybe the best player in one of the classes, the underclassmen in the state out of El Paso. Of course, I spent some time there in UTEP.
Yeah.
So El Paso is not known for its basketball, high school wise. College wise, yes, but not in high school. So talk a little bit about just some of the guys in these classes. I know Ani has some questions for you too.
Yeah.
Step out and let you just kind of cover that.
No, for sure. Yeah. And actually big shout out to my administrator. We almost did 4 years. And again, full disclosure, when I started this, Brian and Ani, in 2014, we had no intention of stretching that far to West Texas. Literally the 1,076-mile drive to El Paso, Texas. We know it now like the back of our hand on I-10. We don't have the Ani, Umana, and Allen Branch budget to get that private VIP jet to El Paso, man. So we gotta load up the hoopty. Yeah, and he hit it right on the head. 2 years ago was our first time seeing KJ Lewis, getting back to what you're talking about, Brian. And, I know some people thought we were crazy as far as in our 2023 rankings, which we list all our rankings at our website, alamocityhoops.com. He's been our number 1 2023 prospect now for the last 2 seasons. The kid is a beast. He's built like a college outside linebacker, maybe even defensive end. What's really impressed us about him is not just only his physique and athleticism, but he's now been consistent in the last couple of times we saw him here in our summer and fall events, that we actually saw him add a consistent perimeter shot. And that's what you want when you're 6'3", going on 6'4". Got to be able to shoot the ball, right, in order to even get that D1 class, that D1 eval. He's definitely at the head of the class, and it's crazy, and it's no disrespect. I know the 23 class is loaded not only around the state, but in what we call the Texas tri-regions, Central, South, and West Texas. I mean, it's loaded. And Ani, I know you were talking about some of the kids in the 23s, but everybody from the Malik Presleys and the Zayden Highs, the Jamiron Kellers. But yeah, it's been great. And in West Texas, not only that, but just thinking about guys, and I'll turn it back to you, Brian, but there's been those casualties, and I remember hearing John Smith come on with y'all last week, but West Texas has had a couple of casualties too, as far as, not in a bad way, but just transferring out, Zurich Phelps up in Duncanville. was obviously over at Midland Lee, and D1 player. This past year in El Paso, not necessarily a casualty, but Brian Garrett Levesque went to a prep school, and now he's going to be going to Army. He was from El Paso Coronado, and a lot of people, and I know you're very familiar with the Newton boys, the Newton brothers, Tristan and Jawan. And as hard as we tried, as hard as we tried, guys, and I'm not joking, and I won't put it on blast because I don't want those subscriptions to the scouting report to stop. We could not get people to buy on Tristan Newton. We just could not. And now he's a first-team all-conference player as a freshman at East Carolina. And he's, we even saw him in one of the Draft Net Expresses, and depending how much stock you put into that, but we even saw him listed as a potential draft pick in 2021. It's incredible. And it's going down for the 22 class in El Paso, but KJ Lewis is definitely at the head of the class, not only for El Paso, not only for the Tri-Regions guys, but possibly arguably in the state of Texas for that 23 class.
Yeah, shout out to the Newton brothers. I got to see them firsthand and actually coached against Jawan and who's at Evansville. So, yeah, he's the older brother. And Tristan, I think, put up, more points than maybe anybody in the state of Texas history. I think he put up 3,000 points. If I'm not mistaken, it might have even been 4,000. Something unheard of. Had a great freshman year. Definitely was a talented kid and had so many people come through. I was at UTEP at the time. We know how life is as an assistant, so you don't need to make those decisions. But there was no doubt I have a great relationship with his dad. I was always telling his dad, he has enormous talent. There's no doubt he's going to get what he deserves. I think just being patient, and it's probably better for him not to stay home in this particular case because we had a lot of young guys in our kind of recruiting class the year before, and one thing about when you take a local guy, you want to make sure he has a chance to be successful. So credit to the young man and to the family for kind of sticking with it and him having a success story now. But yeah, Ani, go ahead and chime in. I know you had some thoughts on San Antonio, West Texas, kind of the young man we talked about. And shout out to Jurek Phelps, who did transfer to Duncanville. Went to the state last year. I can't say he's a state champion because they didn't get a chance to play the game. Yeah. Got canceled, but just recently signed to SMU. So he has a tremendous story too. Ani, go ahead and jump in. And I know you had some questions and comments and some feedback you wanted to share with Antonio too.
Yeah, first I want to talk about Tristan Newton. First time I ever seen him play Mansfield. I used to have their holiday tournament, and I saw him. They were playing College Park, who Quinn Grimes was playing with, and that had to be the best game I saw that tournament. And Tristan, I think, had 40 points.
Yes,
and it was a fun game to watch, and I was like, who is this kid? You know, and I was telling some guys, hey, y'all need to go to that gym and watch that kid play again. I mean, it was fun, was scoring any way you wanted. Shot looked a little funky, but it was going in at the time. Yeah. And I love watching Houston. I love watching Tristan play. He was just a buck, and his brother was a really good guard too. They helped really make that team go. I mean, they were definitely. I know, like you said, sometimes West Texas they have the casualties. I mean, I felt that they were someone I would pay to go watch in a high school game. You're going to get a really good outing. So, for sure. My question I had was, in San Antonio, I want to get your thoughts, like, why the top players are leaving the city. With Vince and you got Zachary Clements and Langston Love, and you got Austin Nunez who's ineligible right now. And I was talking to Burton about, what those matches will look like if those kids were here. And not just saying, I mean, that happens in Dallas. You got kids that will leave Dallas, you got kids that will leave Houston. But I feel like in San Antonio, it's like the top kids are just leaving. Yeah, and, I just want to get
you're speaking facts, Ani. I wish it would be, before even giving what I think is the issue, I don't have the answer. Let me clarify that to how to stop this or fix this. But the thing is,
Antonio,
and it's funny because I wrote this down. Brian.
Let me jump in real quick. So just to clarify too, to the defense of San Antonio and El Paso, Dallas and Houston have some of the same things happen, but there's more players there because it's a higher populated area. There's more players. So when you lose a high level player, it doesn't affect you the same way. It doesn't hit the same way. Whereas if a kid leaves San Antonio and there's a smaller population of people, first of all, and then high-level players as well. When they leave, it becomes kind of more of a story. But, I mean, there was at one point in time, I think it was 2 classes ago, you had almost everyone in the city of Houston that was a higher-level rated player left the city, right?
Yeah.
The Twins went to Sunrise. The kid that went to Louisville went to a prep school as well. You had guys just kind of taking off, so much so that the Houston Hoops had Dallas players playing on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it gets to a point where in Houston and Dallas, it doesn't stick out as much. So to have San Antonio's back and El Paso and West Texas, it just doesn't hit the same. So I hate to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that.
No. All good points, Brian. And real quick, guys, man, because I don't even know if I have enough time to name you. Look at these names. And this all started, Ani, as you're very familiar with, with Allen, when St. Anthony's landed Charles Bassey in 2016. So look at these names that have been in San Antonio and don't finish here, starting with Charles Bassey, obviously, now starring at Western Kentucky. Salumain Doumbia only was here 1 year at Athlos before, unfortunately, that went down with the St. Anthony's debacle. And then more recently, look at the national talent in the 21 class in the Tri-Regions. Had these kids somehow, some way stayed at their schools. But Langston Love, top 50 player, signed to Baylor, left to Montverde. Zach Clements, a lot of people forget, started as a freshman here at Antonian for Coach Bernal. Ended up going to Finlay Prep, I believe, for 1 year, and then ended up at Sunrise. Also, obviously, going big time Kansas commit, was right here in San Antonio. People forget, a little bit smaller level D1, but still a D1 signee, Juan Reyna, ended up at Duncanville, also from that Antonian freshman team, another casualty. And then again, we mentioned already Zurich from West Texas, but this past season, Ani, the biggest defectors have been, of course, Vinci Wuchuku, now up at La Lemire Prep, left Cole, already a borderline 5-star prospect. And then a lot of people forget he was here for not even a full season, but at one time, he's still a high, I think, top 100 prospect, but former Kansas commit Trey White was here for a cup of coffee for almost a full season with the Cornerstone national team that got tore down and then went out west to Rybet Academy. So, why, Ani, I can probably maybe explain a little bit there. And again, people are going to agree, people are going to disagree. It's a perception now, unfortunately. Obviously, you see a pattern. Look at those names. I mean, I almost named you 10 names of D1 kids who now parents, coaches, people behind the scenes think it's almost a requirement. You have to leave San Antonio to get seen. And I want to be clear to say, and you guys might disagree with this, you do not have to leave San Antonio to get that exposure. You don't. When you're the talent of a Gerald Lydell, you're going to be seen and you're going to get a chance to go to UT. Even the lower D1s like Jashawn Jackson, who just signed with UTRGV, the Marco Anthonys, who left to UVA and is now at Utah State, the Tristan Clarks, who did get the benefit of going 1 year to Finlay Prep, came back, became a top 100 player, and unfortunately now because of injuries had to call it an end prematurely to his career, which is tough to see. But guys, I don't have the answer. I do know this, and people again might not like this, but I do agree with what John Smith was saying last week on your show. San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the country, and the mindset is that of being the 300th largest city in the country. It's very different, of very old school conservative ways, where again, and I'll end it with this. When I first started, guys, doing this as a media outlet in 2014, and I won't name the 3 high schools, I got threatened to be thrown out of a gym because they thought I was there to recruit kids. I mean, it's just a never-ending obstacle. It started with, y'all can remember, I won't go too old school Vietnam style with you guys, but Eduardo Nájera in Cornerstone in 99, Nate Miles in the late 2000s at Cornerstone again, that got shut down. The St. Anthony's, the Athlos, and now most recently, it didn't even last the full calendar year, the Cornerstone national team. So I don't have the answer, guys. It's just very difficult for San Antonio to do it. And now again, the first public school that has felt that wrath is Wagner. And just so you all know, I did confirm this morning, they are going to have the appeals meetings after the Thanksgiving break. As of right now, though, again, not trying to be pessimistic, but originally after the previous athletic performance forms were overturned it was a 365-day ineligibility clause for Nunez and for Garcia, but they are optimistic that that could hopefully get overturned, and that maybe sometime by December that Wagner is allowed to have its full team. And we can't forget Oakland University signee Darius Sherman, O'Neal Darius Sherman. Now he has no part of that. He just simply having to go through the UIL process from being an out-of-state transfer, guys.
Hey, Ani, real quick, I know you got some stuff to chime in on that. Will you just follow up what Antonio just explained, and will you tell the listeners kind of what a little bit of the story is, and who are the players, and where do they come from, and why is Wagner kind of going through what they're going through? And I know Antonio will follow up too.
If I heard you correctly, Brian, and again, it was coming in choppy on my end, were you asking about Wagner and their current situation?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So basically what happened is, you know, and a lot of people, some people forget, Ani, Jarrell Colbert was enrolled at Wagner, and unfortunately he had to leave by July's end because we'll just say, wink, wink, the powers behind the scenes did not want him at Wagner. And we all know now he's with Mike Miller out at Houston High School in Memphis. And he signed to LSU as he was committed. In all honesty, Brian, and again, I've been covering recruiting since 2005. I've never, ever heard of a previous athletic performance form be overturned once it was finalized and approved. I have not. That's what happened the week before the season tip-off for Wagner. Again, and I'm just reporting what I've confirmed. New evidence was found in Kevin Garcia coming from Laredo Martin, who now, again, so people know, his father lives in the district, okay? However, though, new evidence was presented that the move by him, and not only him, but Austin Nunez, were, of course, athletic induced for athletic purposes. Now, with Austin, people, if not aware, he and Jarrell were at Cornerstone. Now, does Cornerstone still have a varsity team? They do, but they were not on the varsity team. They were on the national team, Ani, and that national team that was led by Casey Barksdale was torn down. It was eliminated in late February. I don't even think they made the full season until March. And so Nunez was looking for a new place. He enrolled at Wagner. It was approved. And then literally the week before, again, they reevaluated some information. And from what I'm being told, again, what I'm being told and what I've confirmed, there were some flags. And therefore, they decided to overturn the PAPF and then make them ineligible for the 365-day period, which, again, to clarify, does not appeal to O'Neal Darius Sherman. Completely separate. He is just going the out-of-state checks and balances, guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Ani, you can go ahead and follow up with anything you wanted to add. I know Antonio is doing a phenomenal job talking about San Antonio. Obviously, everyone, if you haven't known what Alamo City Hoops is about, now you can see it. Now you can understand it. Antonio's fabulous at what he does. I'll let Ani chime in next.
Oh yeah, no, very, very interesting points. And like in Burton, like you said, in each city, kids will go to prep school for various reasons. They feel like they can boost their stock going somewhere else to a different state or a different city or this, that, and the third. But I was really interested in seeing, especially like these past 2 years, just not like we talked about. There's not a lot of high major prospects, or high end Division I prospects in San Antonio. So, for to lose the ones that we're kind of having to different places, it's just tough. I hate to see it, And like I said, I always just imagine the matchups like, what if Ben, Zach, and Langston were still here? Like, what type of games could we get right now? And that's where I'm just like, damn, like we could have some really, really good games. And now my next question is, Antonio, maybe it's going to be hard to answer. Like, what is the solution? How do we keep them?
And here's the thing, Ani, man, I wish I had that answer. I can tell you this much, and I'm hesitant, so I won't say the names, but we do know those in the basketball community. However, the public programs are doing it in the DFW area. However, the public programs are doing it in the greater Houston area. Need to contact those coaches, or the San Antonio coaches need to reach out to those coaches and talk to them and dot the I's and cross the T's. And I'll tell you this much. When we broke in May about Wagner getting Jarrell Colbert and Austin Nunez, and potentially one or two more. We had high school coaches in the Tri-Regions reach out to us that they did not approve our article because they felt it condoned cheating. I'm not BSing you. And a couple of them were very forward with me and saying that that's not what it's about. And I told them, look, specifically in the article that we posted, and it's still up in our archives there at alamocityhoops.com, if it's done the correct way, if the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, we're not the ethical committee. I don't run any type of, investigative firm that's going to see, was this done correctly or not? We're media, we're NCAA certified evaluators, and, we help promote the boys and girls that merit it, right? And the teams that merit it. So I said, hey, I respect your thoughts. We're not condoning cheating in any way, shape, or form. Honestly, Ani, it's going to take a group of coaches from within San Antonio who, not to say that they're not willing, but are so patient and so tolerant to deal with all the obstacles, all the accusations, even some of the sanctions like Wagner is going through right now, break through them, and then maybe 2, 3, 4 of the more high-profile programs stick with it. And if it's successful, hey, they get to a regional final, they get to the Alamo Dome. Heck, guys, it's been 18 years, going on 2 decades since San Antonio has hoisted at the UIL level, not TAPS, because Antonian did 2 years ago, but has hoisted a 5A, 6A trophy. And, it's incredible. I know DFW and Houston, like you were saying, like Brian was saying, the pool of players is that much greater. But look at the names we just mentioned about here in San Antonio that end up getting picked out of here. San Antonio has definitely closed the gaps. The Tri-Regions has definitely closed the gaps. Y'all mentioned KJ Adams and Westlake earlier. We talked about KJ Lewis. Again, just to close that point, there's no really easy answer, Ani. It's going to have to take, and it's, again, being 100% upfront, younger head coaches, some of the coaches here at the high-profile programs in San Antonio. But as you guys know, they have to walk a very fine line because you get blacklisted. You get blacklisted here in the Tri-Regions if you play a certain team, like a Cornerstone was, like a St. Anthony's. They were literally getting kicked out of public school tournaments, and public school UIL games were getting canceled. It's a different world here, guys. I know we talk about it, but until you're actually here and you cover it, it doesn't really hit you in the face until you realize that, wow, like it's just sometimes it's really unexplainable on how it is here in San Antonio. And just, I don't want to say behind the times because that kind of knocks us, but I don't know what other phrase to use, but it is difficult to see that it still is that different old school mindset. Again, in no way, shape, or form are we condoning recruiting, but if a transfer is done correctly and it's, again, 100% approved, why not let it happen? If it's not, then you got to pay the consequences. And what I'll wrap it up with, guys, the cliche is, if you play with fire, sometimes you're going to get burned, right? And that's it. Ani, I don't know if that even answered your question, man.
No, that was good.
It answers it. I mean, that was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, that was good. I would love to kind of move forward on the topics of like who's playing well out there in San Antonio, team wise, individual wise, and just we got about 8 minutes or so left. Who else? Anything else you want to speak on as far as San Antonio basketball would be great.
Yeah, Brian. If I heard you correctly, man, just want to give a shout out, real quick, and just, man, some of the teams that I know it's young. It's some teams have only played 2 or 3 games. Some teams are 5-0, 6-0. But just real quick, I'll do this shotgun style for you guys, and then I'll leave y'all alone. But looking at some of the teams that have started out of the gates, Colleen Ellison, and we mentioned Jamiron Keller, 6-0 out of the gates. And Ani, I know you might disagree with me with Jacoby Walters up at McKinney, but I've said this and we've said it. I do believe the number 1 and 2 point guards, not in the Tri-Regions, in the state of Texas, are Jamiron Keller over at Ellison. And then if you guys haven't seen Caden Gums from San Marcos, kid is right there. So again, arguably the 2 top point guards in the state.
And Jamiron is someone I forgot to mention.
Yeah. I mean, so again, Tri-Region talent right there, just going down the list.
So real quick, Antonio, I'm gonna pause you real quick. Ani, your thoughts on what Antonio said on those guys?
Yeah, for sure. Jamiron Keller, Jamiron Keller has really made strides as a basketball player. especially as a point guard. And I really enjoyed watching him. He had a really strong performance at the Wooten camp. Caden Gums, it was my first time really seeing him in July and August. I like him. I like him a lot. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's he's right there as a top tier point guard in the state of Texas, but I do believe he's in the upper echelon. He's up there. I just don't think he's in the top tier yet.
Okay, thanks so much, Ani. Go ahead, Antonio. I know you had some other.
No doubt. So Lake Travis guys with Coach Clint Beatty 4-0. I think y'all had mentioned got a transfer out of state from Colorado, 6'8" stretch 4, Aaron Jacob. Definitely a division low D1 talent. Keep an eye out for him. Cole High School and Coach Noe Cantu, we had mentioned them. Obviously, that's a big loss. Not only did they lose Vinci Wichu, but again, they lost a 6'3" all versatile D2 signee to Western New Mexico, Jordan Arnett. Obviously graduated, but Trey Blackmore has really expanded his game, has picked up now almost half a dozen offers. The combo guard at Cole. Silas Livingston is also, we're getting D1 starting to ask us about him. Lightning quick, 5'9", 5'10" point guard for Coach Cantu. And so far, guys, I know it's only 3 games, but they have only played 5A and 6A schools. And Ani and Coach Burton, obviously, with the DFW flair. I don't know if it's going to happen with COVID, but we'd like to finally see that Cole Dallas Madison rematch in the state championship. So it's definitely going to be different without the 7-foot big man in the middle, but we'd still like to see it happen. And just a few more guys. Antonian, Coach Bernal and the staff, they've been doing over there 5-0. 2 years ago, TAP 6A champion. Last year, runner-up. This year, they're just loaded. St. Edward's signee, Gavino Ramos. Shout out to Coach Dre Cook and Trey Lindsay for what St. Ed's is doing. Not only are they putting the product on the floor and winning, but, man, the kids are seeing it. And they're getting some, Ani, they're getting some borderline D1, low D1 talent to go into that program and not rebuild, but consistently reload at St. Ed's. And can't forget to mention Xavier Martinez, Brian Armstrong, and Santiago Ochoa, one of the better 2023s in the Tri-Regions. Coach Swain in Maynard High School, 5-0, the post-Jamal Shed era, as he's getting ready to lace him up now with Kellen Sampson at Houston. Maynard is doing well, 5-0. Clark High School, 4-0, Coach Silverstein. Judson High School, Coach Lopez, always produces athletes at Judson. This year being led by Neris Brandon and Isaiah Washington, 4-0. And just a couple more that y'all had mentioned. Westlake, 3-0. Kansas signee, the best 2021 in the Tri-Regions and one of the top 21s in the state. If you haven't seen KJ Adams, guys, he's added probably close to 15 to 20 pounds. I mean, he is built. I couldn't find any body fat on the kid. I mean, he's just rock solid. And then wrapping it up, New Braunfels High School and Coach Bronner has done a great job out of the gates, 5-0. Jackson Reed is a low D2, D3 prospect that needs to be on so many more boards, a 6'4", 6'5" wing that can score at all 3 levels. San Antonio Johnson and Coach Keller is at 3-0. The 2022s, Ani, definitely keep an eye on Kendall Dow. Johnson point guard has already dropped 2 30 pieces, a 33 and a 30 piece. Can score all over the place. Played for Urban ASAC this past summer. O'Connor High School and Coach Juasco at
Really
5-0.
shoot it, right?
Yes, yeah, he can flat out stroke it, but he's also got a deceptively quick step to the hole where there's just not many defenders that can stay in front of him. And the last 2 guys, I promise, I got to show the love as much as I can to the Tri-Regions. Again, O'Connor High School and Coach Juasco. Adam Benayoun, an undersized forward at 6'5", just does everything. He does a little bit of everything so good. Defensive rebounding. He can shoot the set 3-pointer. He just bangs and plays dirty, can handle the ball if you need him to. Him, Isaac Orozco, and the 2023 guard, Jalen Munoz. He can light it up in a hurry. Has gotten O'Connor out to a 5-0 start. And then last but certainly not least, going back up to the Syntex, the Belton Tigers, who have a 2022 D1 prospect in TJ Johnson, who just picked up an Army offer 2-3 weeks ago. They're off to a 4-0 start. I mean, I could talk to you guys all day about a couple 4-1 teams, but I know we're short on time. But definitely some quality ball going on in the Tri-Regions and the 2-1-0. Big matchup this weekend with O'Connor at Judson, 2 undefeateds there, and we'll be at that one as well. So, again, guys, that's pretty much just a shotgun blast here on some of the teams in the Tri-Regions.
And Tony, I would say you probably shot some shotguns before as well as you did that. It was impressive, man. Thanks so much for giving us the Tri-Region rundown. Ani, I'll let you give kind of any closing thoughts you have as we kind of close the show, and then we'll pass to Antonio, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So for those listening, we always do our best to do Wednesdays, Wednesday morning from 10 to 12 Central. We want a little bit of overtime special occasion because we had such a special lineup for you guys today. You can also catch us. We'll be turning these into podcasts. So you'll be able to catch that here pretty soon. If you happen to miss, you can follow us on allaccess_SM on social media as far as Twitter and Instagram is. And then you can also follow us and subscribe on our YouTube page, All Access Network. So I'll let Ani kind of chime in first, and we'll go back to Antonio, and then we'll close out the show.
Appreciate you coming on, Antonio. And this was good for me. That TJ Johnson, who I've been obviously hearing a lot of in the recent week or two. As a kid, I definitely need to take a look at her. Kind of a forward that can really shoot the ball. Trey Blackmore, he's been impressing me the last two outings that I've seen him play. Scoring the basketball, more confident with his handle, just not getting sped up as much as what I saw probably like in the latter part of the year. The early part of the year into the spring prior to the pandemic. There's some kids, there's some sleepers there. That Adam, I don't want to botch his last name. He's just a kid that he just gets a lot done, like you said. You look at him, but he just comes and gets a lot done. That's shooting off the catch, or that's just rebounding, boxing out, just the little things. Taking a charge. Then you look in the box score, he has 18, 12, and 2 blocks and five assists. So he's a kid that really just knows how to produce and make winning basketball plays. So like I said before, like I said last week, Central Texas has a good crop of talent, and just the state period. But it's always good to hear some new names. I hear some names that I probably need to go back and watch, like Kendall Dow. I saw him shoot the lights out with Urban ASAC in their tournament, and he's a kid that I need to keep tabs on. So really appreciate just sending some new names, sending some names that I heard before that I just haven't gotten to watch lately.
Yeah, no doubt, Ani. And anytime, Adam Ben-Hayoun over at O'Connor. And it took me a couple years to get it too, man. So, but yeah, definitely a kid who needs to be on radars. And Ani, is in my final thoughts and wrapping it up with you guys, I definitely want to say again, thank y'all so much for having us on. But, some of those 23s that we mentioned, Ani, and this is definitely some good stuff to touch on later, guys. We didn't mention some names that you all know about already that maybe the public doesn't. We didn't mention 6'9" Kendrick DeLuna, who's already a high major prospect. We didn't mention Mashai Hill over at Hendrickson, another 6'8" big man who's already got Houston and U of H offers. There's some serious talent in this 2023 class in the tri-regions. But again, all I wanted to say, guys, is if y'all don't know what we do, or for those viewers who just came on with us, Brian, please be sure to follow us on social media at Alamo City Hoops 1. We're starting to get to the doorstep of 10,000 followers in just over 7 years, like we said. We're on Instagram at Alamo City Hoops. We're also on Facebook, and on the girl side is too, guys. On Twitter, we're at ACH_GBB, stands for girls basketball. So greatly appreciate the platform. And anytime you guys want to talk prospects, teams, like I said, when it comes to the tri-regions, I will say humbly and respectfully, you guys know my background with the military. I try and be as respectful and as courteous. The only issue with that, sometimes I don't think before I talk, but that's a flaw, right? With that said, we work as hard as anybody, and I don't think there's anybody else who covers the tri-regions as hard as we do. So I greatly appreciate y'all giving us the time to come on today.
Yeah, no doubt, and just great to have the unity amongst the state, and great for people to be able to see and hear up close with you. I think they're used to hearing and reading your Twitter fingers and the posts that you guys have, but to put a face to Alamo City Hoops and to put the words and the passion and the dedication and the knowledge behind it, I think was just awesome for us today. So we look forward to having you back. I know Mike Lopez he talked about how he's joined you now. So
yes, sir.
Shout out to Mike from the Creative Coaching Podcast, Mike Lopez Jr., one of the greatest dudes in this basketball game, period, at any level. Just a great dude, and excited to have him on at some time down in the future to represent Alamo City Hoops as well. And just look forward to everyone having a great Thanksgiving and staying safe, keep wearing a mask, and eat lots of leftovers.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving too, okay?
Thanks, Antonio. Ani, well, we got the show. Had a great one, man. Show 2 might have outdid show 1 a little bit. I don't know. We just keep getting better, man. Any last thoughts on? I know you got some holiday tournaments that you're gonna be covering. Any last thoughts you wanted to share, and then we'll shut it down, man.
One kid I forgot to mention is Amari Abrams in Houston with Summer Creek. Had a big time performance against Shadow Creek, although they lost. Amari's a kid that's stock is slowly getting up. A heady guard that really can get to the basket and finish, and his shots making some progressions. He's a kid to definitely keep tabs of. I think he's really making, turn the corner a little bit. And I think he's definitely going to start seeing some higher end Division Ones, really start calling. Although they can't come out and actually see him live, but I do think he's a kid that's turned the corner and becoming that prospect. But overall, I excited about stepping into the gym right now. I'm going to watch these players. Excited about Thanksgiving Hoop Fest and seeing how guys like the squad out of Michigan compete with Duncanville. I think Lancaster just got added on to play John Paul II, so I think that'll be a really good game. And just for as long as we're going to be able to watch and see basketball, I'm just excited to be in the gym.
No doubt. We're going to go through some quick things that we were able to see today as far as comments. Thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. I think John Smith, who was one of our special guests, and he'll be back. He'll be a frequent guest on the show along with Alamo City Hoops to help us cover kind of that San Antonio tri-region area. John Smith, just no words need to be said. Just got the Kermit the Frog and the tea cup. So doing what John Smith does, man, with the emojis. Thanks, John, for tuning in. Thanks for your contribution, and have a happy Thanksgiving. We got Mike Lopez as well from the Creative Coaching Podcast. Just saying thanks. Thanks so much to you too, man. Look forward to having you as a guest on. We just had a lot of great comments and interaction today from everybody. I know Corey Henderson earlier just said big time show. Stacy Houston and Ani, appreciate you showing some love. We got Herb Baker from Texas Elite, just saying, what's up, fellas? How's everybody doing this morning? We appreciate that love. And then we got our guy Niles from Texas.
Herb.
Yeah, Niels. We got Texas top 100. Texas top 100, correct? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Showing some love.
Right.
Yep. Just making sure we do that, and got JT, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be safe. Have a great Thanksgiving. We look forward to continuing to provide more fun and exciting content, and just be safe and enjoy it. Give people hugs. Get some good naps in, and look forward to watching a lot of college basketball as it tips off today. So hope you guys had a great one today. Thanks so much again, and Ani, be